Hi everyone, this is Raj from TechFerment, and in this video we are going to talk about Fetch APIs. With the help of Fetch API, you can call REST APIs, or you can get the data from the server and you can print the data in the browser part. So let's get started. Here I have created index.html file, and this is basics HTML logic, and I have added app.js file with the help of script src as HTML element. And we use Fetch API for collecting the data from the server with the help of REST APIs like GET request, POST request, or PUT request, or DELETE request. So Fetch is a predefined functions, or Fetch APIs is a predefined inbuilt function within your browser. You just need to use Fetch as a predefined function or a methods. Okay, and here you need to pass the URL. So let's say I'm using like these fake APIs, JSON placeholder, and then we have a API name is these APIs, the post, and then we'll give you the data about the post. So this is a URL. Here we will add a URL of the APIs. Okay, and then this API will work as a JavaScript promises. So how we can do that? So like here we'll write console.log, and then we will print this entire logic inside console.log to check whether it's a JavaScript promises or not. So I'll save and I'll go to the console, and then this will return a JavaScript promises. So we can handle the JavaScript promises with the help of then and catch block. And here we have a then block. So if this particular API is successful, or resolve, so we can handle with the help of then block, and here we will get the result. Okay, and then we can print the result with the help of console.log. I will save and then reload. So now we have a result. So here we have a result, then we have a body, and then we have a OK as a JavaScript object. Here value is true. And then we have a redirect is equal to false, status is equal to 200. So now we are not getting any data from this particular API. So we need to use .json method. So we have a REST as a result, and then we need to call this JSON object. Okay, so this is a method, and again this method will give you the JavaScript promises, and then if this particular promise is successfully resolved, then we need to handle with then block. Okay, and this then block will give you the data. So we have a data here, we can print the data, or here we are using JavaScript arrow functions. So here we need to write console.log, and then we have a data. Okay, and then if this particular promise is resolved, so we can handle with the help of then block, and if it is rejected, we have to handle with the help of catch block. So we have a catch block, and here we have an error, and we can print the data of the errors with the help of console.log e. Okay, so I will save and I will reload, and I will wait for a few seconds, and then we have a data. So these all are the array of object, and we are getting this data from the server with the help of these fetch APIs, and this is a get request, and we have used fetch APIs. Okay, so this is how we can call the APIs. So now like this API is an example for the get request. Okay, and if I want to call some like post APIs or delete APIs or pull uh, put or these kind of APIs, we can do that. So let's say I'll just create a data, so with the help of post APIs. So here what we have to do, we have to write same logic, and this is the API for adding a data. So this is a post request, and here we have a data, and here we need to pass the JavaScript object. This is a like optional thing if you are calling the get APIs, but if you are calling the post APIs or put request, or maybe the delete request, you need to pass this JavaScript object. So in this JavaScript object, here you need to pass the method. So let's say my method name is post. Okay, so this is a post request, and then here you need to pass the header. So here we have a header which is a JavaScript object. Here you need to pass contain type application JSON, and then here then you need to pass the data. So here we have a body section. Here you can pass the data. So let's say I have a data, a JavaScript object. The JavaScript object, let's say this API will give you like if I'm calling the normal APIs, this one get all post. So this API will give you the things like ID, title, and the body. So we will pass this particular JavaScript object. So here we have a ID. This IDs are assigned by the system. So here we'll write user ID. So here ID is I capital. And then here we'll pass the value, let's say 34. And then we have a title. So this one is title. Here we can write a title. And then we have a body. Here we can define the body. So this is description. Okay. And then this is a JavaScript object. So you cannot directly pass this JavaScript object inside the body part. You need to convert this JavaScript object into a JSON file. So here we need to write json.stringify as a method, and then you need to wrap with this particular JavaScript object, and this will convert your JavaScript object into the JSON string. Okay, and then you can call the APIs. So I'll just comment this entire logic and I will save. And then here when I call this API, so we have a data. So this particular API is successfully called, means the data is added. The data is this one, and then we have a user ID is equal to 34, and the title is this one, and the ID is 101, and then body is this one. Okay, so this is how you can call the fetch APIs. So I'll give you the simplest example about GitHub APIs. So what I'll do, I will just remove this entire logic, and then we in the market we have a GitHub API. So I'll just need to call this API. So let's say api.github.com/user. So this API will give you the details about the GitHub user. So how you can call the API? So first we need to use fetch function, and inside we need to pass the URL. So here we will pass the URL, and then this will give you the JavaScript promises, so we can handle with the help of then block, and then we need to get the data with the help of then JSON method, and this JSON method again this will work as a JavaScript promises, so we'll have to handle with the then and catch block. So we have a data final, and here we can print the data console.log, and then we have a data. And if this particular API is rejected or promises is rejected, with the help of we can handle with the help of catch block, and then we can print here with the help of Control C. And then when I save, and then here we will get the data about the GitHub users, and we can print the data. So here, so let's say I'm using Bootstrap, so I'll go to the website, get Bootstrap website, and then we have to copy the JavaScript code or CSS library. So I'll just copy the CSS library of the Bootstrap, and then here we need to work on the container. So I'll write container, and then inside container we are working on the row, and then we have a column. So I'll create a column of 12 1, and then we have a table. So we'll print the data in terms of table format, or we can print the data in terms of column value. So here what I'll do, here we'll write 3, and here we need to pass ID as a result. Okay, so here this column will be dynamic based on the data. So here I will just cut this logic and I will paste it here. Okay, and then I'll go to the app.js file. Here we have a data. So here I'll create a function. So I'll create a function's name is print data, and then this function will collect the data, and then here you need to call the function, write the logic for printing the data. So what I'll do here, first we will write document.getElement by ID. So here we have ID as a res, and then here we need to use inner HTML. Okay, and then you can create a multi-line string with the help of this particular key, and then here you can write a logic. So what I'll do, I'll just need to pass this ID in this particular row part. Here we need to call this logic inside this particular block. Okay, and then we can print the data. So this API will give you the user, and then this is a user. So we have a data, let's say avatar URL and the login. So login will give you the user informations. So what I'll do here, we have a data and then we will call a map functions, or you can call for each map loop. Okay, and this will give you the user. Okay, so here we have a user, and what I'll do, every time I just need to call this logic here, and here we need to pass this one. I'll just copy here and that's it. Okay, so now I need to print the image, so we need to use image as a src, image as a HTML tag, and then src as an attribute. Inside src we can pass the value. So this is a template literals in the JavaScript part, so we can print the variable with the help of $symbol curly braces. And this is a user. Inside user we have an image with the help of avatar URL, so I'll just pass the avatar URL. So I'll just copy this particular field, I will paste here. Okay, and then here we can apply the style. Let's say style is equal to width 100%. So I will save, and then we can print the data. So let's say I'll create a p tag, and here I will close the p tag, and then we have a GitHub username, so we can get the GitHub username with the help of login field. So here what I'll write, $symbol curly braces, and this will give you the user, and then we will print the login. Okay, and here we need to use plus symbol for concatenate this particular block. So I will save, and I just need to call this function. So we have it here, we will call this function and we will pass this data. So I will save and then call this data. So I will save and I'll just reload the page, and here we have a data. Okay, so I have called the GitHub APIs, and this is how we can get the data. Okay, so if you have any questions, you can ask your question in the chat box, and thank you for watching, and see you in the next video.